Wild Willie T's Arm Wrestling and Strongman Rants, bringing you commentary, news, and insights on the two sports I love the most, both from a fan's perspective and a journalistic perspective, but with a twist. Lots of rants. Hey folks, and welcome to another show. My previous video, I recorded that on Friday morning around 11 o'clock my time, and I did it with my phone. I used to record my videos with just a Logitech webcam above my laptop and then a mic. And then for whatever reason, that started creating lag between my lips and my actual voice. So now what I'm doing is I'm recording from the actual laptop microphone, and I'm actually using a video camera that I purchased a while back that I hadn't used for this purpose. What was happening with the iPhone is, for some reason, I connected to the laptop and I couldn't get the videos off the iPhone. So then I figured out uploading it to Google Drive. And then for some reason today, it wasn't uploading to Google Drive. I think it took the better part of 5 or 6 hours before it actually uploaded to Google Drive. Then download it to my laptop and then edit it in Wondershare Filmora. And that's how you ended up with the video that I released earlier today. And of course, that was on the rule set of King of the Table 4 and the meetings that were held with Bill Collins the other day. Now, since I produced that video, I watched a video with Pradeep Singh, Armwrestling News, and I also thought about the situation a little further. So I kind of have to issue an apology to Devon Larratt, because you know that famous 2.2 rule that we saw, that contract that was shown to us? I'm starting to wonder if that wasn't the way King of the Table 1 contract was written, where it refers to WAL and then being able to negotiate. Because we'll remember King of the Table 1, if you go watch the video I did, they had a meeting. When the King's move was mentioned, they kind of agreed that it was ridiculous to have unlimited number of warnings. So they eliminated the warnings and just went straight to, if you go humorous on a downward slope, humorous basically below the table, if your humerus is on a decline, that it's a foul. Now, Bill Collins is the referee for all the King of the Tables. I'm wondering, because Bill Collins, during the last meeting for King of the Table 4, was reading something off of a page that no fans have ever seen. And I'm wondering if he wasn't reading that the 2.2 clause, or if he was reading the rules that they had written for King of the Table 1 or King of the Table 2, but they had forgot to amend them with the warning. Because Pradeep mentions a good point that at King of the Table 1, the original rules had a verbal warning in it. And then they eliminated the warning, and then for King of the Table 2, they didn't mention warning during the rules the rules meeting. So Pradeep's argument there that Devon allowed wanted automatic foul, running foul against Michael Todd because Michael Todd was a King's mover, but then when he compared it to King of the Table 4, that he didn't mention warnings that going straight to foul. Well, he forgot that at King of the Table 2, when he faced John Brzenk, he didn't give a crap. So he wasn't worried about getting a warning there, and he didn't go below the table either. When he beat John Brzenk, basically he was well above the table, 3 to 4 inches from the pin pad in an open top roll. And my guess is that's exactly what's going to happen to Levan if Devon has decreased the strength gap. So all that to say that regardless of... So the only reason I'm apologizing is I said the title of my last video is Devon Larratt was dishonest. It's not necessarily dishonest. It's almost like a lie of omission. Or maybe in the heat of the moment, he never thought of it. So I can't really blame Devon for that. I'm going to blame the referee, Bill Collins, but I'm mostly going to blame the King of the Table organizers. I don't think anyone can blame Core Sports, because something's telling me that Core Sports is just a streaming provider. that it's up to the organizers. Like East versus West, for example, is streamed on Core Sports, but I don't think it's Core Sports' responsibility to do anything. They might only provide the service, the streaming service. In this video, I'd like to cover a few things. There was a press conference held today. It was held on Devon Larratt's YouTube channel. And if you haven't had the time to go watch that. It's called King of the Table 4 Press Conference and Live Q&A. Go watch that. What I did is I took some screenshots, some video clips from this, and I'm going to share some. I'm going to share some of them with you now. Some of the highlights from this press conference. The press conference is going pretty smooth. Neil Pickup was moderating, and of course he was doing his best to be as politically correct and as fair and as polite as he possibly can be. And at one point during the press conference, Devon decided, that's it, I'm going to get some things out on the table here. And they were talking, basically at this point, Neil was talking to Levan about his preparation, about his training, etc., etc., etc. And Devon decides to... You remember how we were all worried that there might be some physical contact other than arm wrestling during this whole lead up and the match? Well, there was some physical contact. Devon actually called out Levan for being soft and decided to touch him. And Levan had no reaction to this, which I found a bit surprising. And then Devon went on to call him or basically Devon went on to compare him to 100 pounds of porridge. Here, have a listen.
Why didn't you at least put on some muscle? I told you to get bigger like such a long time ago, and you really didn't do anything. Like, it looks like you just ate a Pizza Hut for the last 2 months. You said you trained. It looks like just a big... It's just soft.
Right there, he touches him on the shoulder. It's just soft.
Soft, Levan. It's not real muscle. You know how they say, like, what weighs more, 1,000 pounds of porridge or 1,000 pounds of steel? It's like, well, I'd still rather be like 300 pounds of steel than 1,000 pounds of porridge. Like,
you know, I felt bad. I felt bad during this press conference for Levan because, of course, he doesn't speak fluent English. And I'm sure it had to be very, very, very overwhelming for him at times to not be able to go back and forth with Devon. And it made it challenging. He seems to be taking it like a good sport. He didn't overreact when Devon touched him. So I'm guessing somewhere behind the scenes, these two had some sort of conversation. But stay with me. The press conference got a little hotter.
I just basically said you're fat, Levan. That's it. Just said you're fat.
I'm fat?
That's it. That's all I really said.
I'm laughing. I can't really laugh. I'm a fat piece of shit myself. I'll borrow Neil Pickup's line. What is it he talks about? Back tits? Anyway, Devon decided that the press conference was going too smoothly and decided to shake things up. I don't think anyone was worried about that. Further on in the press conference, Neil Pickup was talking to Levan about Devon Larratt's technical skills and what a technical master he is. And when Levan responded to Neil's comments, when Neil was asking him if he was worried at all about Devon's technical skills, particularly the King's move, well, Levan kind of brushed it off, saying that Devon's not technical and that the King's move is a clone move. The clone move. Of course, he meant clown move.
And what I'm saying is that there's so much difference in strength, in power, that none of that really makes any difference. You know, like what you've said, technical side, it doesn't. You know, it's a secondary.
So Levan's saying he's got way too much power. The technical side doesn't matter. It's secondary.
I hope you like surprises, Levan. Do you like surprises?
And King's move, it is not technique.
Oh, you'll find out if it's technique. I love it when people say the King's move is not technique. Man, that is the most European thing I've ever heard in my life.
This is clone technique.
Is what?
Clone technique.
Clone technique. Oh, I thought he said clone. I wasn't sure. I thought it was like a clone technique. Levan, I don't care. I'll beat you with clone technique. I'll beat you any way I can beat you. I just hope that you're man enough to accept it. That's what you should work on. Be man enough to accept when you're wrong. Be man enough to accept when you lose. When I beat you with King's move, I suggest go back to Jordan.
Your dreams end tomorrow.
Your dreams end tomorrow. Yeah, at this point, I think you can see that Levan might be getting. He's smiling, he's laughing, but I'm wondering, is he getting frustrated?
Do they?
Your dreams
sure?
end tomorrow. Yeah.
Your dreams end tomorrow. Do you notice the color of their faces? Levan seems to be blushing.
Are you sure?
Have you amended your training, Levan, to adapt for the King's move? I mean, we just seen your teammate, your training
it's called
partner.
Clone technique. Now.
The clone technique of the King's move. So
How much do you want to bet that clone technique will be a hashtag trending in the arm wrestling world soon enough?
the hashtag clone technique, the King's move. Have you adapted your training there? I mean, we've just seen Gary Quickvinia pull with Mike Todd. We've seen Rivas do the same and had some success there. Have you been sort of speaking to these guys about what you need to do, and have you worked diligently in the gym to try and adapt for the King's move? Are you prepped and ready for that?
Now remember, this is Neil Pickup, a man with decades of experience in the sport, asking a pretty legit question. And Levan Saganishvilli doesn't seem to really be bothered to think that training specifically for Devon was necessary.
No.
That's same as usual. Nothing's changed.
Very confident in strength, in power, and the fact that that will win over on the day.
Same as usual. Nothing's changed. So it's clear to see that Levan Saganishvilli has all the confidence in the world. But Devon then explained just how strong he is and what it is he's been doing to prepare.
Everything has been perfect. My preparation has been perfect. I've put my entire career, my entire life's knowledge into this match, and surprisingly, training has been flawless. What I'm bringing to the table is the most prepared, most experienced version of myself that has ever lived. I would win against myself pre-surgery, post-surgery versus Michael Todd.
What Devon says there is pretty important, because when he faced Michael Todd, many people in the arm wrestling world were saying if that version of Devon Larratt shows up anywhere in the world, nobody can beat him. A few people said that. And here Devon is saying, I would beat that version of myself.
Will take an astounding arm wrestler to beat me tomorrow. I have respect for Levan. However, arm wrestling is much more than a bicep curl. It's much more than the wrist curl. I will come at Levan like no athlete has ever come at him before. And he will not be ready for that. He thinks he's ready right now. He thinks it's going to be another gym session. He thinks he's going to be training with Irakli. I'm not Irakli. I'm no one you've ever faced before. And I will use any means necessary to defeat you, regardless of what the fans think, regardless of what the community thinks. I'm only here to win.
And regardless of what Engin Terzi thinks, and regardless of what the European arm wrestling community thinks, Levan Saganishvilli agreed to the rule set that they put forward in that meeting with Bill Collins. There are no excuses for Levan. None. Now, after Devon explained just how prepared he is, Neil Pickup then asked Levan again, do you think there might be problems during the match? Do you think you might end up in a war?
Are you prepared for, expectant of a battle tomorrow? Do you feel like there's any chance that come round 3 tomorrow, this is a much harder match than you envisaged? And if so, if it turns into a war, are you ready to face that?
To be honest, I don't think there will be any battle. It's not gonna take much time. But I hope it will be, because that's what I'm looking for. I want it to be interesting. because it's been a while since I had the arm wrestling match.
It's been a while since he's had an arm wrestling match. I wonder how Dave Chafee feels about hearing stuff like that. And then when Neil persisted, he went even further. Levan went even further and basically gave Devon 0% chance to win. Zero.
And Levan, I'm going to go back again to your sort of opening comment about the fact that when this process started, you didn't believe that Devon was a legitimate threat to your number one status in the world. Is the man that sat across from you now a man that you believe is a genuine threat to your number one position?
Now watch what he says here.
He's saying, should I be honest? Should I be dead honest?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to be absolutely 100% brutally honest.
He has 0%.
0% chance to win tomorrow for Devon.
0% chance. I don't care who you are. I don't care what the fight is. I don't care if it's a wrestling match. I don't care if it's a... Well, I say that. When it comes to professional athletes, one man weighing 300 pounds, the other man weighing 400 pounds, I don't think anyone has 0% chance of winning in that scenario. I'm sorry. And when you're approaching a high-level sporting competition like this one, and you think that your opponent has 0% chance of winning, maybe, okay, maybe the guy is next level, next universe, he won't be defeated in the next 10 years, maybe that's where Levan is at. But I'll tell you what, yeah, if Devon Larratt stops him, he's going to eat those words, and Devon Larratt is going to make him eat those words. I can pretty much guarantee you. Just listen to the exchange that happened after Levan said there'd be 0 chance of Devon winning.
That's really great. I love to be discounted. I love it when people say 0% chance. But Levan, you're such a liar. Like, you're such a liar. You're such a faker. If you really thought it was 0, then why did you train so hard?
Devon makes a few valid points here.
Why did you freak out about the rules? Why are you pretending to be sick? Like, if you weren't really worried.
And then soon here you're going to hear Levan basically say, are you end or are you done? And again, it comes back to, I feel bad for Levan because I think genuinely he might be a nice guy, but he's in over his head when it comes to banter or press conferences. And he may be nice and he may be sweet and he may be a big teddy bear, but he certainly has a touch of arrogance. And it was seen throughout this press conference. If you go watch the whole thing, at one point he's staring at his phone rather than paying attention to what's going on in the press conference. But just watch this exchange.
You just be good and you just fight me. To say 0%, I mean...
He's telling Devon, don't cry, just one day. Don't cry for one day.
It's crazy. 1% now?
Not cry. One day and...
Levan, I love it how you accuse me of crying, but you were the one posting stuff on the internet about how I had the favored rules. And
True.
How my sport is arm wrestling, not strap wrestling.
True.
Trying to make excuses before the match even started. What do you have to worry about, Levan? I'm like a fraction of your size. You're super strong. You're super big. If you really thought 0%, you'd just be cool. You'd shut up. You'd show up. You'd beat me.
True.
Are you upset?
Well, to be fair, he kind of did just shut up and show up, and the next step would be beating Devon.
Upset for me saying that?
Am I upset? Do you say 0? I'm really actually really happy because you know what? It's supposed to be 0, Levan.
And again here, Devon shows that he knows he's the underdog, just like we all know he's the underdog. And what he says here is 100% truth.
It's supposed to be. I've had surgeries. I'm 47. I'm not supposed to beat you. But if I do beat you, with this 0% chance, it's going to be so incredible for me and for you. I will have become your teacher.
For this match, you talk.
I will be
all
your
day.
teacher.
Talk all day.
So here we see Levan here kind of getting enough is enough. All for this match. All you've done is talk. All you've done is talk. And what Devon said there, it's too bad Levan wasn't listening, because what Devon said there is, once I beat you, I'll become your teacher. Listen.
I've become your teacher,
For
Levan.
Yeah, become your teacher, Levan. And Levan should, if Devon actually does pull off this win, Levan Saganishvilli, if he's smart, would pay Devon to move to Georgia for a year and teach him. And in a year's time, Devon probably wouldn't be able to beat him.
this match, you talk
I will be
all
your
day,
teacher,
talk
Levan.
all day.
After I teach
Wait
you
one
tomorrow,
day and
you will look at things
yo,
totally
Your
different.
talk is,
You will
One
realize
day.
that you don't need to eat Big Macs and do bicep curls. You need to go to the club. You need to get some better training partners, and you need to arm wrestle a lot.
How do you not love Devon Larratt? Seriously, how do you not love the guy? So, and okay, I know I've said I'm a commentator, journalist, sportscaster. Well, on YouTube, I allow a little sarcasm and allow a little for little rants, and I allow for little digs and little pokes. Heck, I called Devon Larratt dishonest in my last video for anyone who's saying, you can't criticize Devon. Sure, I can criticize Devon. The sneaky, cheeky bugger. The sneaky, cheeky bugger, Devon Larratt, who didn't mention that, there's no warnings. There's no warnings, Bill. Beings that Devon didn't say there's no warnings, Bill. It's foul, running foul automatically. No warnings. And Levan didn't say anything. And Coach Ray didn't translate it for Levan during the rules practice. Levan agreed. So Devon gets to go below the table, get a warning, come up. Go below the table, get a running foul, come up. Go below the table, get a running foul, come back up. And then if he wants to, get another... round one. But Levan's had to exert himself all that time. And then does the big man start sweating? And then does Devon do it again in round two? And does he only pick up 2 running fouls in order to get the stop? I don't know. I don't know. What could happen? Is Devon Larratt strong enough to catch him in round 1? Is he strong enough to catch him in round 2? Is he strong enough to catch him in round 3? You'll watch other videos of Neil Pickup, even Coach Ray, reacting to the size of Devon's forearm. I mean, Neil Pickup, I think in a video he did on his channel Arm Wars, pretty sure he said that it's one of the biggest forearms he's ever seen. And it's lean. There's no fat. Devon Larratt is, well, we'll get to that too. They had official weigh-ins today, and we're going to get to that in a minute as well. In the very last question, or actually, at one point, Devon pointed out the fact that Levan, throughout this whole prep for this match, has refused to really engage in the verbal fight and the prep leading up to the match. And Devon thinks that may translate to the table in some way, shape, or form. Have a listen.
I understand that he lacks the will to engage fully in this conflict. And there will come a point when there are no options to disengage and there are no longer options to push it to the side. And that's the moment I'm waiting for. I'd arm wrestle you starting right now, Levan. If you want to arm wrestle right now, we could have a warm-up if you'd like. Would you like to have a warm-up?
And I'm pretty sure here Levan is pretty much tuned out, not interested, not listening, or can't understand, or all of the above. Oh, he did understand. And listen to what he says here. Remember when I was saying he's arrogant?
tomorrow I warm up.
Tomorrow's going to be my warm-up.
Okay, so he's saying that his match against Devon's going to be his warm-up. But yet he's also said in a video that he doesn't like to go full out in practice with Irakli because he's scared to get injured. Irakli got dusted by Todd Hutchings. Todd Hutchings, when warming up or practicing with Devon Larratt, says that it felt like a branch of a tree, like a part of a tree where you can nudge it. That's about all you can do. You nudge it and it kind of bounces back, and you nudge it and it bounces back. So I don't know. Did Levan underestimate Devon Larratt? We're going to find out. We're going to find out in less than 24 hours now. And during that press conference, and hats off to Neil Pickup for the job he did. It's not easy to host a press conference like that, especially when you have translators and there's language barriers, and you've got very, very, very large men who may or may not get aggressive all around you. Hats off to Neil Pickup for the job he did. The very last question that was asked in the press conference was, I believe it was a super chat, and it was one word to describe Levan, and it was asked to Devon Larrat. Can you guess what he said? Can you take a wild guess what Devon Larrat said here?
Okay, one more question that's come in. Devon, if you had to describe Levan with just one word, what would that word be?
Pussy. That's it, Levan. That's it. It didn't take me long to think of it. Are you going to hit me?
Are you going to hit me?
No.
No.
He's saying he's not gonna hit you. It's all good. Shouldn't
It's all
be worried.
good. Okay. We'll sort it out tomorrow then.
You're not my level.
We will find out who's on whose level, Levan.
Not only in arm wrestling, in personality too.
So Levan is saying here, you're not on my level, not just in arm wrestling, in my personality too. And you could look at that a few ways, I guess. I guess I have some learning to do when it comes to Georgian culture, because when it comes to personality, I'm sorry, but Devon Larratt's got more personality than his pinky. Well, again, it could be a language barrier, so I don't want to insult Levan too much on that note. What I will say is today they had official weigh-ins. And if you go to Voice of Arm Wrestling, Coach Ray Lipsis, I believe his name is, if you go to his YouTube page, Voice of Arm Wrestling, and you look at KOTT4 weigh-in and stare down, you'll see there that they had the official weigh-ins today. And the official weigh-ins today were a bit different than the weigh-ins we saw in an unofficial video the other day that circulated on YouTube. In the official weigh-in today, Irakli Saganishvilli weighed in, I believe, at 98.5 kilograms.
It doesn't have to be.
Irakli Saganishvilli of Georgia.
He's in the announcement.
98.6 kilograms, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, shit, look at that.
Saganishvilli of Georgia.
Now, his opponent for the match during King of the Table 4 is Marcio Barbosa, who's Brazilian but lives in the United States. He weighed in at 111 kilograms.
Marcio Barbosa weighing in at a lean and sexy 111.1 kilograms of manpower.
Then for the next match that's going to happen at King of the Table 4, Alex Kurdecha of Poland, he weighed in at 149.5 kilos.
He weighs in at 149.8 kilograms, ladies and gents, for Alex Kurdecha of Poland.
And Cory West, of course, Michael Todd's protege, Cory West weighed in, well, we don't know what he weighed in at because the scale only goes to 400 pounds. So when he got on it, the other day he weighed in at 440.
Cory?
Cory West. Oh my God, you're going to need a bigger scale.
If you break this scale, you owe us a scale, bro.
You want me to step on it or not?
Jesus, crack. Does it show full?
It stops at 400.
Oh, Jesus.
400 pounds. It may not weigh you. It stops at 400.
Now, all of those are pretty close. I think Kurdecha might have been half a kilo less. Everyone else was either more or the same as they were the other day during that unofficial weigh-in when they were all just weighing themselves. Now, Levan Saganishvilli got weighed, and he weighed in at 178 kilos.
Levan Saganishvilli weighing in at 178 kilograms.
Now, that's 2 kilos less than he weighed during that unofficial weigh-in. And Engen Terzi alluded to the idea that Levan might be sick, and of course Devon mentioned the IV drip thing. So maybe Levan is sick, and if he's sick and he's lost 2 kilograms in 24 or 36 hours or even 48 hours, I'm not sure that's what you want to be doing before a big arm wrestling match. Maybe he is sick. I do not know.
And last but by no means least, the Soldier Boy Superman Devon Larrat weighs in at 130.5 kilograms of determination. Ladies and gents, you want to...
Then they had the official face-offs. And the official face-offs were pretty interesting. The face-off between Marcio and Irakli was pretty tame. They went up. It was just pretty tame. I think they even hugged afterwards. Then Alex Kurdecha and Cory West faced off, and same thing there. They were kind of very, very cordial about it. And at the end of it, they shook hands, gave each other a hug. And then it was Devon and Levan's turn to shake hands and face off. And then at the end of it, shake hands. And what you're going to find interesting here is at the end of it, Levan allows Devon to shake his hand twice so far I've seen on video, where Devon Larratt and Levan Saganishvilli shake hands with their right hands. And you'll notice here that Devon, when he's shaking hands, of course, is looking for information. And you can see by Levan's reaction that he wants nothing to do with it, and he's cluing into what it is that Devon's doing. For Devon Larratt, this match probably started 3 days ago. This match probably started 6 months ago for Devon Larratt in his head, when he wrote that letter to his wife Jody, telling her that basically he was preparing for this like he'd prepare for a mission in war. So when Devon tried to pull that off with Michael Todd refused to let him touch his right hand before the match. John Brzenk refused to let him touch his hand before the match. But Levan Saganishvilli, here, go ahead, touch my hand. And I'll go back to the video I did 5 months ago, where I predicted that if Levan Saganishvilli did not take Devon Larratt seriously and did not treat this as a fight rather than just a strength sport, and if he's not looking at it as a combat sport, he might be in trouble. And if he's not heading into this thinking that it might be a war, he might be in trouble. You'll remember that if you watch the whole press conference, and even some of the highlights I showed you, Levan Saganishvilli doubled down on the fact that all he did was pretty much weight training. He did very little table time. Now, you listen to Devon Larratt, you listen to John Brzenk, you listen to even Engin Terzi, you listen to Neil Pickup, you listen to all the seasoned veterans that arm wrestle, and they're all going to tell you that table time is the most important thing. John Brzenk, at one point in his career, attributed all his strength to table time. Devon Larratt has been training like a madman for 6 months. His forearms have ballooned. He's gained an inch in his biceps, an inch on his forearms. That's a rough number. But for Levan Saganishvilli to say he's got absolutely no concern, just for saying that, I hope Devon beats him. I'd love to see Devon beat him 6-0, but I can't see that happening. So with that, I'm going to go with my official predictions. When it comes to Irakli against Marcio Barbosa, I think Marcio is probably going to take that, but something tells me it's going to be a war, and Marcio will take it 4-3. And with Alex Kurdecha and Cory West, Alex Kurdecha is looking absolutely ripped. Well, not ripped, but he's looking in much better condition than he's looked in some of the matches I've seen him in recently. And although Cory West is massive and his hand is very tough to open up, I don't know what kind of endurance he'll have. So I'm going to go this one's really tough for me. I think it's either going to be Cory West 6-0 or Kurdecha 4-3. And with Devon and Levan, I'm going to go 4-2 Devon. I think Devon stops him. I think round one is not quite a flash pin, but darn well close. Round two, Devon may stop him for 10 seconds or so, and Levan will get it. And then in round three is where everything turns around. And I think Devon wins 4-2. There are going to be some big boys, and I think there are going to be some Levan Saganishvilli fans that are going to be second guessing their star's methods, and Levan may very well second guess his methods. As far as Devon Larratt goes, the guy is a legend. He's arguably I think he's arguably the GOAT. I mean, I get a lot of flack for that. Brzenk is the GOAT. I get it. But Larratt is up there in the top 2 or 3. And if Larratt wins, now he's indicated that he wants to keep doing this Way of the Giant Pumpkin for another 4 or 5 years. So even if Devon loses, we may see him in a year or two even bigger and stronger than he is now. If Devon wins and he continues training at the pace that he's training, he continues to pump that arm the way he's pumping it, I'll tell you what, we're in for some pretty interesting arm wrestling in the next few years. My only wish is that all the leagues could come together and form some sort of super league, or at least if all the different promoters all went with the same rules, so that when you have international events, you can actually rank, and no one would have any arguments because everyone would be playing by the same rules. So if I had one wish, that's what it would be. I'm going to try to do a video tomorrow right after the event. It doesn't matter what happens during the event. I want to do a video right after the event tomorrow, especially if it goes a lot more smoothly with the video camera and the SD card combined with the screen capture. If this works good as far as efficiency goes, I'll probably be pumping out a lot more videos. So I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Like, share the videos, these algorithms. I'm still learning. I used to do this in a different capacity way back when, but I'm back at it, and I'm learning. It's a different audience, and I really appreciate the support. Like I said, Devon Larratt, 4-2. I'm done now. If you like what you see so far and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and like the videos. If you'd like to follow the work I do covering world issues and political issues, you can check out my work on Rumble or BitChute. Look for Canada's Red Pill and you should find me. The links to my social media accounts and methods of supporting me financially are in the description of the video. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'm Wild Willie T, signing off from Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, Canada.